Britain's top negotiator, David Frost, and his EU counterpart, Michel Barnier, are engaged in a head-to-head battle that will ultimately shape Britain's future outside Brussels. In an interview with Express.co.uk, Douglas Carswell shed some light on the extraordinary Mr. Frost and revealed why he has exactly what it takes to deliver a successful Brexit. Today, Mr. Barnier and Mr. Frost will mark the end of the first round of UK-EU trade talks. Discussions began on Monday, amid deep tensions over Prime Minister Boris Johnson's threat to walk away from the negotiations if not enough progress is made within 4 months. About 100 officials spent the last 2 days locked in parallel talks across a number of sectors, including trade in goods, services, transport and energy. However, the two sides appear to be deeply divided on level, with the UK determined to secure the right to diverge from EU rules after December 2020, the end of the transition period. As uncertainty over the future relationship continues, former UKIP MP Douglas Carswell delivered his verdict on the man who will ultimately shape Britain's future outside the bloc. Mr. Carswell said, "I met David Frost as a new MP when I happened to go to Denmark on a select committee trip in 2010. He was the ambassador in Copenhagen. I met this extraordinary man, who was the first and one of the only British officials who was clearly Eurosceptic. He understood intellectually why Britain should," referring to a lecture the special advisor made at Brussels ULB University in February. The prominent Brexiteer added, "His speech was spot on, a brilliant understanding of history. The reason why I became a Eurosceptic is because I read a book about history and it showed that the reason why Europe was the #1 center of civilization and innovation was because it didn't have centralized control, like China or India." David Frost clearly understands the intellectual origins and rationale of Euroscepticism. "I was very impressed with his lecture and I was very impressed when I met him 10 years ago. I think he's doing a fantastic job and that he will do a fantastic job." In a recent report for Reaction, George Yarrow, Oxford University professor and former head of the Regulatory Policy Institute, echoed Mr. Carswell's claims, noting that in his speech, Mr. Frost had exhibited a strategic coherence unmatched in previous statements by UK officials or politicians speaking about the future relationship with the EU. He wrote, "David Frost offers clarity in relation to the negotiating objectives of the UK other than speed in reaching the end of the transition.